In this video, we're going to show you how to install the brake drum and your brake shoes on your Ford Focus located behind your rear wheels. Now we're going to use our 19mm socket to loosen and remove the lug nuts. Get to remove the wheel and set it aside. On the back drum here, we'll get to remove our dust cap. Now we're going to use a flathead screwdriver. You can use another pry tool if you have it. But if you go around the perimeter here, you should find a little notch that you can get your screwdriver into and just gently try and work that out. I'm going to get our screwdriver on here and just kind of gently tap. Trying to work this out. Go ahead and pop that off. Now in the center here, we have a 30mm nut. We're going to use this socket on our breaker bar to go ahead and loosen this. I'm going to try and switch over to our ratchet, see if we can loosen that up. There it is. With the nut removed, we should be able to go ahead and grab our brake drum. Start to work this off. You can try and pry it a little bit. Just going between the brake drum and the backing plate. Sometimes using a hammer to strike around here will loosen up any rust in there, as well as if the brake shoes are stuck as well. Now at this point here, we ended up installing our slide hammer because we could not get our drum off. It seems to be stuck in place. There it is. Once we have the brake drum off, we want to go ahead and spray this down with some spray solvent and clean up all the old brake dust. Take a rag and we're going to clean down the spindle. You want to go ahead and check this and make sure there's no gouges or any deformation to that steel. Now at this point, we can go ahead and start to remove our springs from our assembly. And you want to pay attention to the position of the springs. Like on the bottom here, we have the coil located towards the back portion. So if you have to take a picture or whatever you need to do to go ahead and make sure you remember that. After you remove the lower spring, let's go ahead and remove our spring clips on the side. Now on the back side, there are pins that comes with a backing plate. These pins are what those spring clips lock onto. Take our brake assembly, wiggle this down. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the parking brake cable from the actuator here. Using a pair of pliers, we can pull back on the spring here. This should allow us to go ahead and pull the barrel end out. Now on the old shoe setup, we need to remove this center beam here with this little spring. So let's go ahead, and you can remove this any which way you want. I'm simply going to pull this apart. You kind of spread this spring and pull that apart like so. Now when disassembling, it is very important that you pay attention on the disassembly and how these springs are installed. This spring here on the rearward shoe has a hook that faces down. This side here has a longer hook that faces up. You can set that down the same way that it goes in. This side here, we need to remove this assembly with this spring. And I'm taking this beam and I'm folding it down, dislodging this spring. And you want to pay attention, remember that this little spring here with this mechanism faces below, faces downward. So just set it down the way that it came out. Now in this component here, this unit needs to be able to pivot. So I've been soaking it in some rust penetrant, and we have to try and work this. If you want, you can disconnect this spring. You see on the back, it's a slotted hole. Just continue working this until it's free floating. And you have to use some sandpaper or something to clean that up. Once you feel comfortable with the actuation of everything, I'm going to use some spray solvent and clean off all of this. If you have a parts washer bin, that would be great. You could just dip it in that, spray it down, clean it. I'm going to apply a little bit of silicone paste here to keep that pivoting smoothly. Okay, set that aside. Now at this point here, we have our new brake pads here. Now if you notice, the forward pad is thicker than the rear. Now obviously the rear has the parking brake actuator set up here, so you want to make sure that's set up properly. going to bring over this unit here. Going to take our rearward spring and that needs to go into the lower notch here. All right, so we have the spring and the actuator set up. I'm going to take our spring here. I want to match it up to the one that we removed. Let's go ahead and install this. This hook here goes into the slotted hole on the other shoe. Slide that in. And then slide this notch onto the actuator. Okay, so this unit here is ready to go on. Then we're going to install our pins on the back side and our retainer clips. Using some spray solvent and a bristle brush, we want to go ahead and clean the backing plate. Inspect the backing plate for rot. Make sure that the backing plate is still solid and you don't have any issues. If it is rusted, now's the time to replace it. Now there are 6 contact points that our brake shoes actually contact with. There's 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to apply some thin coat of silicone paste to these contact points. Thin coat, you don't need globs of it. We now want to go ahead and slide this spring back. And what I'm going to do is slide this back and hold it with a pair of pliers. And we have the spring pulled back a little bit, have our pliers on that cable. Get that cable in there. Swing that over. Now you want to pay attention to the pistons up here. There's 1 on each side. You can squeeze these in a little bit and get our brake shoes on either side there. Let's go ahead and take one of our pins. I'm going to feed it through the backing plate. Now the pins themselves have a blade on them, a flat section on it. And you're going to take the new clip, you're going to push that on and compress that clip in. Okay, so the blade should go across, locking it in place. Go ahead and install the one on the other side. You want to install the spring on the bottom. Remember, the spring portion itself will be towards the rear. And what we're using here, this is just a simple screwdriver with a notch cut in the middle of it. This one might be a little bit too thick. So the smaller modified screwdriver. Let's go ahead and get that installed. Okay. Now look around the perimeter, make sure that the gap itself is consistent all the way around. You can go ahead and shift the shoes themselves a little bit as needed. Now on the spindle itself, you want to go ahead and make sure you can get some grease on here. Use a bearing grease. Now we're going to grab our brake drum. Now installing this here, you want to make sure that the inside of the brake surface is clean. Sometimes these are shipped and have a coating of oil on them to protect them from rusting. So go ahead and use some spray solvent on a rag. Wipe the inside. Do not spray it and get it inside on the bearing. And once you get that lined up, go ahead and work that on. Give that a good rotation. Beautiful. Go ahead and grab your axle nut or your spindle nut and spin that on. Let's go ahead and grab our ratchet and we'll snug that down. All right, just snug that so it bottoms out. Now we're going to torque this nut down to 173 foot-pounds. Once we have that torqued, we'll go ahead and pop on our center cap or our dust cap here. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process for the passenger side. Go ahead and take your wheel, line it up on the wheel studs, and we'll get the lug nut started. It's always best to start all of the lug nuts by hand and then tighten them down. That way that we don't cross thread the lug nuts. Now when snugging these down, you want to do this in a crisscross pattern. Now let's get and torque down our lug nuts to 94 foot-pounds. We're going to do this in a crisscross pattern. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.